Auto-populating frames in PhotoFusion starts with a blank frame. I'm just going to hold the F key down and drag out a rectangle. So now I've got a single large blank frame, and if I move over the split control, I can then cut it up into 6. So now I've got a couple of frames to work with. I'm going to do one final thing, which is to press Control-Shift-Insert. That's a very fast way of creating a duplicate. I've got now 2 pages of empty frames. So what the Autopopulate control does for you is it allows you to go into the Images hover, select a bunch of images, and I just Shift-clicked to select all of these, and then with a single click here on the Autopopulate button, bang, it applies all 6 of those images into the empty frames that I had waiting. And of course I can pick them up, swap them like this, and play with the framing as I like, but the Autopopulate saved me a few clicks, which is everything that matters for serious production work. If I press the page down key to get to the second copy of this page that I make, we'll show another way of doing this. I'm going to select a different set of images now and drag them, and the hover goes away and they get attached to the cursor. This is called the dropper, and it allows me to roll the mouse wheel and decide where I'm going to drop the images. So I'll say, for example, I want this one here and I want this one here, and if I get bored I can just say, do it for me please, clicking here on this other copy of the Autopopulate button, and that will take the images that were in the dropper and place them into frames. So an application of this is the class composite, where you have a lot of images to drop into frames. And so I'm going to go into the marketplace under class composites. There's one available for you. If you're running PhotoFusion Enhanced or Extreme, this is actually a free template. So PhotoFusion has downloaded this content from the .scrap store for me, and it's allowing me to look at some instructions here on the right. And what we have basically are a bunch of empty frames, as you saw me create manually before, which have %name % under them. And what that does is I'm going to go and find some school photographs. It allows me to take an image, we'll use LE here, and drop it into a frame, and you'll see that the student's name is taken because this is EXIF information that is being pulled from the file name. There's an entire video describing how to create a class composite. What I'm showing here is the Autopopulate. So let's zoom back out and show everything. Select all of the images. I'm pressing Control A, except LE because we've already done him, and I'll say Autopopulate. So the fact that LE had been dropped into the first frame already doesn't pose any problems. There were still all kinds of empty frames to populate. We don't need these down here. I'll select those, delete using the delete key, and then finally just tap the right arrow key to move these across and center them up a little bit on the canvas. So there's an example of how to use the Autopopulate tool to very quickly produce an entire class composite. Here's another application. I'm going to press Control N to start from scratch. We'll work with a new 10 by 10 canvas. I'll go into my set of available papers. We'll use this taupe. By dragging and dropping that into the gray area outside the canvas, it's going to be set as a background. Finally, I'm going to go and grab a frame. We'll just look through the list of available frames and drop this one. So again, what I'm doing is going through the .scrap store. Anything that I pull from these buttons up here is being pulled from the store at lumapix.com and deposited on your computer. So what I want to do here is to auto-populate, let's call this a series of contact sheets. Even though there's just going to be one image per page, I want this to be duplicated, let's say, automatically, so that if I were to drop 10 images, I would get 10 copies. What I just did was I opened the Pages hover, right-clicked and said Auto-Duplicate. So now if I were to go into my images list, and we'll just choose some different images here, we'll go back into the kids and select a bunch of them. And if I click Auto-Populate, what's going to happen is, you see here, pages are being created automatically. So here's page 1, we'll go down to page 2, there's page 3, there's page 4. So Autopopulate doesn't just fill in frames on the current page, it will find empty frames throughout the entire project. And if you have any frames, any pages which have been marked like this with Auto-Duplicate, then as soon as the Autopopulate function finds that empty frame, it will duplicate the page as many times as it needs to fill up an album. So this is an excellent way to build a contact sheet, for example.